Hello, this is Dean Phoenix, back again, continuing on my Deathmarch No Armour playthrough on The Witcher 3. So, where we picked up last time, I had just finished off with the Kiramet's quest, Wandering in the Dark, and also did Magic Lamp as well. So now there's a couple of other things that I need to be doing, and I will be going getting a lone last place of power. There's another one to get in Velen here, and then I'll be continuing on doing a couple more quests and everything else. So I'm going to just see what level this hag is, because if I can beat her, you can get some interesting things from her. If she's not too high level, then level 8, yeah, I'll take her on. So we'll start with her. She missed me, I missed her. So I'm just going to get the correct necrophage oil, and we're going to jump right into this. So get some quick hits in, and I might as well use that Tawny Owl just whilst I've got the potions available, because very soon I'll need to just meditate to use those again. I've also got Grape Shot available, so while she throws things at me, I'll be able to throw things at her, but I can't quick throw a bomb when she's blinded you, so that's an interesting thing to remember. You can manually throw them still, so that's interesting to remember as well. I've got Gourmet slotted again because I reached level 6. And so, as I was saying, it's more of a convenience skill than anything else now, because I've got so many food items. And really, one of the things I've been reflecting on in this particular playthrough is that's Gourmet all over, really. It's extremely powerful. It's good if you're taking a lot of hits, but I haven't been taking very many hits because it's been more about avoidance than anything else here. So, it's more of a convenience skill there. So, got Water Essence, which we can use for making the cat potion, so that's always useful. But don't get a water hag mutagen, because you tend to only get that from higher level hags. So you need to be fighting one that's typically about 15 to 20 levels, level 15 to 20 rather, to be able to get the water hag mutagen. And that's significant because the water hag decoction is extremely strong, and is a really good one to get, but the barrier to getting that is that you have to beat a higher level hag. So if you want to get that early in the game, which is possible, especially with a normal setup with Griffin School techniques and medium armor, that I'd recommend to use normally. That's absolutely possible, but it's more difficult if you're doing it on this kind of playthrough, where it's going to be less reliant on sign intensity, because Griffin School techniques gives you a bonus 20% sign intensity, so that makes it considerably easier to burn enemies, even those that are a little higher level above you, because your sign intensity will be higher if you use Petri Filter. And also the if you use Petri Filter and also the Foglet decoction, sorry, that's what I was going to say. I got distracted by deciding to take out these Endregas. I would quite like at some point to be getting the enhanced Tawny Owl potion, because that would be a useful one. Okay. Just going to make a manual save just before I forget, because there's a slight chance that I have to cut this episode short, so we'll see how it goes with that. I'll just take these out first. That's what I normally advise against doing. I got the burn on the Endrega, but then I hit it straight away, and you can see that it stopped it burning. And again, Gourmet is very convenient, because you can see there I didn't really have to bother avoiding hits because they're not particularly damaging enemies. I could just let Gourmet heal it over time, so it is a really useful and powerful skill. And so I have the convenience of being able to slot that now for level 6. I'll get the next ability slot at level 8, and then a mutagen slot at level 9, and another ability slot at level 10. So level 8 to 10 you get a big bonus in skills, because you get 2 skill levels and at level 8 and 10, and a mutagen slot sandwiched in between, so that's extremely useful. I'm just making my way to the question mark right at the south of Velen, at the south of this area of the map. And this is an unguarded place of power, so if you needed to, if you were lacking a skill early on for something crucial, then you could come here and get this unguarded place of power as well. There's nothing near it. There's a medium level gargoyle, it's about level 15 or so. You can just see it moving in the distance very faintly. There. But you don't have to be anywhere near that, and that's guarding a different undiscovered location, so you can get that very easily. I'm just going to double check that the sound quality is coming through, and whilst I'm doing that, I'm just going to be making my way back up north so that I can carry on. So none of these things are anything that I want at the minute. There is a fast travel marker over here, but it's guarded by wraith, so I may avoid that. And I want to be going up and clearing out some of these places of power, and also doing the area around the quest that starts over here, which would probably necessitate him fast travelling. But I'll be about the level where I can do all this stuff here. I will have enemy upscaling on, so that'll be kind of tricky. But if I'm going to be leaving those on anyway, then I might as well be preparing myself for that, because it's never going to get any easier if I have upscaling on, apart from the fact that I'll have a few more ability points to deal with it. So I'm just going to ride Roach to this fast travel point, and while I do that, I'm just going to double check that the sound quality is coming through okay. Okay, so like I say, just making my way up here, just avoid any enemies on the way. There will be wraiths that are a little higher level than me and things. Now, with those actually being level 16, I think it's best for me to just avoid them at the minute. There's a small chance I could take them on, but it's not really worth the risk. On this No Armour playthrough. It'd be quite difficult anyway, to be perfectly honest, and it would be quite high risk, low reward, so I'm just going to swim back across and then find somewhere else to be going across. Now there is another alchemy recipe over here, and one of these is an Endrager nest, which has an Endrager nest that has some slightly lower level Endragers that I can take on. They're probably about level 9, and then there's a fast travel point there, so I'll make my way over that way. Okay, so just going to ride past these wraiths again and avoid those, and as long as Roach doesn't get scared and knock me off, which he shouldn't do, I should be okay. So just going to ride her past here. Couple of neckers there, might as well jump off, try and kill those for the mutagens. They're not particularly difficult. I also got the Ogroid oil as well, so I'll just be able to use that just to do a little bit of extra damage. Make it go marginally quicker. The only one I'm missing, I think, is the Insectoid oil. Looking at that. If I remember correctly, I also got the enhanced Hangman's Venom as well, so that'll be a useful one. Doing a fair bit more damage with the fast attacks now. It's making that pretty manageable. And take out those just to get a few other mutagens, which is useful. Let's go and find this Endrager nest. There is a slightly higher level Al Ghul here as well. That should probably still be Red Skull at the minute, so I'll not take him on just yet. But I think the Endrager nest is somewhere around here. Now normally I say leave the monster nest and everything else until later, but in this instance I might as well just take them on. I do have Thunderbolt available, but I'm just going to, for now, I'm just going to take these guys out with the fast tracks, and then when the actual warrior turns up, I'll use the Thunderbolt on him and focus on keeping Quen up a bit more then. So try and get a burn on the warrior, which I got straight away, which is very useful. Take out the workers, because he's the one, the warrior's the one that's going to hurt a lot more, so get some more fire damage on him. I believe he may actually be just outside of Red Skull range, so I can take him on a little bit easier. And if they get any poisoning on you, you can use the Golden Aureole potion. Or if I wanted to, I can just use Quen, which is what I did there, which stops the actual effects of the poison dead in its tracks. Let's get a bit of extra healing with Swallow. And take that out, no problem. Okay. So, that's going to be the abandoned site cleared there. And that gives me somewhere to fast travel back from. So, I'll fast travel in just a moment. And come back up north to clear out those undiscovered locations. That's also leveled me up, which is useful. Only one level away from having that extra slot now. I do have 5 ability points available as well. So I'll be able to get another skill very shortly. So cleared that out. Just grab the monster parts from here. Because you can always make useful things from those. And I'll just get to meditating as well very shortly. Now there's another little monster nest place that I can take out. And the reason that I want to do that is there's a couple of chests nearby as well. So I can get some alchemy recipes there. So now that I've got gourmet slotted again, I can use the higher value foods. Again, just for convenience. I do need to repair that armor at some point because whilst it's not providing, I did say in the last episode I wasn't going to provide any armor repairs because the armor isn't actually providing any protection, but I forgot about the graphic that comes up, so I could either turn that off or just stop you or repair the armor. I'll do one of those. Blizzard's a very useful potion as well, so I might as well just buy that one while I'm there. Buy 1 or 2 allspices. They're a little rarer than normal. You can get mandrake roots pretty easily anyway. So I'll just leave off buying those because they're one of the more expensive ingredients. Okay. Just see what I need to make the blizzard potion. The superior blizzard potion is extremely powerful. So that one's always useful. Might as well make blizzard while we're there as well. Right, let's go and try and find this other monster nest. And the attendant chests that are around there. So this is the one that's guarded by the Al Ghul. This is the monster nest that we'd be looking at. And there's a few things around the coast here as well. So I'm just going to make my way to the coast here. And then look out for these chests and alchemy recipes on the way down. You can see those from quite far away. Anything submerged or in the water and all that kind of stuff, you can normally see from quite far away with your Witcher senses. So shouldn't have to be looking too closely to be able to find those. I think they're further along the coastline, but I'll just have a little bit of a check. Because I know that there are some randomly distributed around here that aren't anything to do with an undiscovered location. So they're very easy to miss unless you specifically go looking for them. That's just buckthorn, so, but as you can see, this is what I mean. You can see things in the water with your Witcher senses from a really long way away. To make it easier, I would imagine it so that it makes it easier that you don't miss them. I'll just be on the lookout down this edge. That's just more buckthorn. And here are the drowners and things that are a little bit near the nest. And there is one of the chests that's out there, so. I have meditated, so I have my... I do have my potions back available if I find a few of them ganging up on me and want to make slightly shorter work of it, or if I need the Tawny Owl to be able to provide a little bit more of a boost to my stamina regeneration and be able to keep Quen up. But while you're fighting them one at a time, should be alright. You can dodge for the most part. Even if we take hits, it's not a massive deal. Chase them down and finish them with a fast attack. Right, so here is one of the chests, and you can see this is the one of the ones I was talking about. It's not anywhere near an actual hidden location. There's the monster nest on the island, but you can miss these pretty easily if you don't know what you're looking for. And that has the torn out page for one of my favourite decoctions, the Aracas decoction. I haven't decided if I'm going to stick with the whole avoidance theme or if I'm going to try and mitigate some of the damage later by using protective coating and Aracas decoction, which even without armor would significantly reduce the damage because they are both, the way that they're calculated, they're what is known as an additive deduction, which means additive bonus, sorry, not a deduction, they're not deductions, they're bonuses. And the reason that that's particularly useful is basically it means that instead of gotta just focus on killing these drowners for a little bit here. Instead of the potions being the way that those skills work is instead of it being like 25% added onto your current resistances as a multiplier, they are actually just a straight 25% added onto your resistance factor. It's a long way of saying they work even better than you would think they would. Okay, just going to try the dancing star on these, see if I can get a couple of them burning at once, which will be useful. And then slow these others as they come attacking over here, which is also a pretty good tactic against them. I meant to throw it towards the group of 3, but it went for the one who's on his own, so slight problem with using the automatic throwing of the bombs. So while that one's burning, I'll take a few hits on this one, kill him, and then that's all the drowners knocked out. So you get a fair few drowner brains, but you don't really often get the drowner tongues from them. So you just have to be a bit wary of that. You might get those a little bit later. There's another chest just in the distance there. Should be another. There should be another drowner pops out, and after you beat him, you get a bit of bonus experience as well. Although for some reason he's not made his way up just yet. So we kill this one. Sometimes this happens with a monster nest. After you clear the monster nest out, you get another of the monsters come out, and when you clear that one, you get another experience bonus for killing them. So just need to be a bit more careful with the with this one. It's getting a bit careless. But when it's one enemy, it's extremely easy to just dodge around them. Okay, so take those out and then may get extra bonus experience there. Or not, that's strange. Normally you get a 75 bonus experience, but not in this case. So there's another chest over there, and these are the chests that I was talking about. You get the formula for Rebus there, and then get one more alchemy recipe over here. And then I believe those are Endragers or more drowners that you can take on as well. So we'll go and have a look there as well. I think this would probably be the last one. There might be one right along the shoreline. One more right along the shoreline, so I'll have a look for that. Seem to remember there being maybe one more further this way, so I'll just have a quick look. That's just buckthorn. I'll just swim along this way and double check, and then I'll come back and go to the fast travel point. So that may be all for those. That's Bald Mountain over there, and we don't want to go there until we're a much higher level, so no need to be going over there just yet. Just going to double check over this ridge as well. And then I'll make my way back. Okay, so that should be fine. Come on, Roach. Are they anything interesting? A couple of drowners again. Now these ones are slightly higher level, so again there's a slight chance that I might get a drowner tongue from them. So Roach is going to buck me off here, so oh! I got tagged by two at once there, and that did a lot more damage than I was expecting, so always the danger if you don't keep Gwen up and you're fighting enemies a couple of levels higher than you. They did seem to do a massive amount of damage very quickly though. Maybe I was a little bit lower health than I anticipated. I do have the autosave on the 15 minutes, so I might have to go back a little way there. I do have a manual save from the start of the stream for this part of it, so I won't have to go too far back. That's first death from something that's not a Red Skull enemy from when I took on those Alghouls in the last level, and this is why the higher level we get, the more careful I'll have to be. Didn't quite respect those drowners enough there, and they took me out pretty easily. You have to be very careful with some things like foglets, even if they're just a level or two higher than you, they can do a lot of damage as well. So I'll have to be careful there. And just see where that's going to reload. Probably have to do that monster nest and things like that again. And just restart. Okay, so this is just after we've done this bit. Just get the blizzard recipe from this guy again. I'll have to go and repeat that monster nest. So he doesn't give very good prices, so I'll just leave off buying things from him at the minute. Okay, so at least I know that I can miss out that first portion of the coastline there. And as we get a little bit higher up, I think it'll probably be better if I reduce the autosave interval just a little bit in case I do get careless, and then I don't have to repeat as much of it as usual. So I've got the drowners to take out again, but there's no point taking out those level 9 ones again because those are like the ones that just killed me. I didn't get anything particularly useful from those last time. I can take on these lower level ones a little bit easier. And it's the alchemy recipes that I really want from doing this bit anyway, so let's go and kill these guys. Now there's a chest over here. And take these out again. Probably could have done with meditating, because last time I'd meditated so I had my potions back, so I'll just see if I can do that now. Which I can. See, that's a little weird because the drowners that I was fighting there, where the two of them killed me extremely quickly there, they were level 9 as well, like this one is, and they seem to do a lot more damage, which is strange. So I need to be more careful with the level 9 ones, which obviously makes sense because levels make a big difference when it's low levels like this. One of the slight problems I do have with playing with a playstyle like this is if it's all heavily focused on dodging instead of using Quen. It's just the dodging gets a little bit boring. Like, you can always dodge pretty much, but I don't know. I just finding mashing B does get a little bit boring, so after I've been playing a lot I do get a little careless like I've done there, so So the last one should turn up again soon. I think I got a Drown a Tongue there, which is useful because I need those for Maribor Forest and other stuff. One of the interesting things about Witcher 3 normally is that if you have it set up with the correct skills, it gets a lot easier the further into the game you go, when you've got your skills set up correctly and everything else. So it makes it a little bit interesting playing it with no armor, because you actually keep a bit of the challenge because you have to be avoiding hits all the time. I suppose the same could be said of a feline type of build, but the high damage from the bonuses from the feline gear sort of mitigates that to a certain extent. So a feline build is similar because it provides some resistances, like very, very good elemental resistances, but its other resistances are lower. But it's still different than a no armor playthrough because you have the large attack boost from the gear, and even though the resistances are lower, the gear still has resistances, so it's still a lot different than playing it with no armor. So now I know there's nothing else over there that I need to get from having that little run around before. I don't think there was anything else down there, so it's not going to take me as long to explore this time because I already know what I'm looking for. I'm just going to head back. And I'm sure you noticed last time, and the same again, I need my sword repairing as well. So I'll find somewhere to repair that as well. So these are level 9, so I need to be a little bit more careful with these maybe. But these seem to be, the Endriggers do less damage than the other enemies anyway, so. Get a bit of damage on those with the grape shot. And set a couple of those burning, always useful. And while they're distracted, we can do a bit more damage to these guys. Okay. I think that's them all taken out. And again, you can get mutagens and a few useful things from there. Just need to make my way back to here. And fast travel that way. So that's everything we wanted from down here really. I just wanted to alchemy recipes again. Little bit of extra experience. And the place of power right at the south. And then I can get back to what I need to be doing. Okay, so we've got the Crookback Bog quests over here, the Kira quest over here. We've got the Crookback Bog quests as well, which will be this area around here. And we've also got all of these that we want to clear out as well. So I'm just going to find a blacksmith and get my stuff repaired first, and then I'm going to take out some of these undiscovered locations. And I'm going to do that before I get back to doing the Baron's quest and then Kira's side quests. I'll also at some point want to pay a quick trip to Novigrad, just so that I can sell some more things and also buy a couple of the recipes that I'm going to be using more often from the Halfling Herbalist. So that'll also be useful as well. So I want the blacksmith to be available. So I'm just going to meditate until the sort of time that he's about, which tends to be about 11ish. Hopefully he'll be making his way around shortly. Where are you, dude? Yeah. Okay. So I can sell some stuff if needed. and also get him to repair some things. So those are exact duplicates of what I've already got, so I can just sell those. They're not worth a lot, so it's not worth hanging on to them until later, really. This guy gives really poor prices, so I don't really want to sell things to him if I can help it. But it also means that he'd be a good person to do dismantling with if anything does need dismantling or would be useful. So I can dismantle a couple of things with him. Probably end up just selling the rest. Always dismantle any shells, like I've said before, because you want to be getting as much as possible from those, and you get a lot more for dismantling them and selling the shells than you do for anything else. So just break down a few things like that. Really probably shouldn't have destroyed that white wolf hide, actually, because you can get the same crafting ingredients from other things. So not strictly necessary, but okay, so that's everything repaired right there. Not quite sure how he repaired it or I sold him anything when he wasn't anywhere near his workstation, but never mind. And the good thing about doing these sorts of stuff when you're able to handle them is that these sort of areas are useful for getting a lot of different pickups for alchemy recipes, which I always find really useful. So now first I've got to take out a few drowners on the coastline, and then it'll mainly be human enemies after that. But we should have the enhanced Hangman's Venom there, so that'll prove very useful. And my sword also has a Divana Runestone, so it has a 3% chance to inflict bleeding. Now that isn't a massive chance on its own, but when you're hitting enemies with a lot of fast attacks, it all adds up. And it's a lot more effective at doing that kind of thing. So and this is going to be a problem though, because the dogs have got involved at the same time, which I didn't want. And the problem with that is that you have to let them fight it out themselves, and then whichever sword you are using, see I'm holding my silver sword there because the last hit was against a drowner, and I have automatic blade switching on, and I need to be using the steel against these, and then I need to be using the steel against these, and then I need to be using the silver against the monsters. But fortunately, the dogs have killed all the drowners, so that's alright. Right, okay, so I'm just going to finish these off, and then find out what it is that I'm getting here. Okay, sorry, I just had something I had to do whilst I was doing that, so I had to skip the commentary there. Always interesting when stuff like that happens, you know, when things turn up. The wolves attacking at the same time as the drowners. I thought it was going to be more difficult than it was, but they sort of helped out in a way. Just by killing the drowners themselves, so that actually wasn't too bad. I only had to use my steel sword for the wolves. Okay, so after this, I just need to be clearing out the rest of these, so I'm going to just carry on down the coastline, and I just need to double check that the audio is holding as well again. And then on we go. I think what I'm finding the biggest challenge to be so far is just the challenge aspect is more the patience. It's a lot of dodging and things like that. So, yeah. I always think that things like this are interesting because you do end up killing, like, a bunch of people if you try and save this guy, and you can't really know which is right, so it's interesting. Again, the enemy's doing a little bit more damage now, so I just have to be a little bit more careful. But it's okay with human enemies because a lot of the time you can parry those as well. Oof, nice combo there. They comboed me, the cheeky beggars. This poisoning should kill him pretty soon. Oh, it just ran out in time. So we're just going to take those out. The burning will kill him. One last strike there. And when it's one-on-one, it's pretty easy. Pretty manageable. So took those out, saved that guy, and yeah. There are no degrees of evil. That's a famous quote from the Witcher books. That quote, I'm sure you've seen it, about evil and everything else. Oh, I wanted a normal shirt for a while, actually. Let's have a look. Switch that up a bit. Don't have to wear the elegant clothing anymore. Something a little bit different. I'm going to carry on getting the rest of these undiscovered locations. So this is probably going to take up a good chunk of however long this episode ends up being, to be honest. They're guarding something there. I'm going to have to check the level because I really hate using the crossbow on Deathmarch because the way that the enemies' damages work, if they're Red Skull enemies, then even the crossbow underwater won't do a lot of damage to them, which is incredibly annoying. But normally things will die really easily, even on Deathmarch. One of the things that messes up on New Game Plus, interestingly, is the crossbow, the levels of the underwater enemies. They can get really messed up. So like you can start New Game Plus and the drowners in White Orchard will be like 5 or 10 levels higher than they should be, so you can't even make quick work of them with the crossbow, and that gets pretty frustrating. It's not like you get anything particularly good or anything you need in New Game Plus at that point, but it's just a weird way that New Game Plus works sometimes. I'm debating what sort of playthroughs I'll do after this. One of the ones that I've wanted to do since I came up with my Viper build, which was over a year ago, was I wanted to do a playthrough with that build because the Viper armor looks like the starting armor and is really cool for that. I think I've missed this question mark here. Let's go back. I actually think I got the treasure instead of actually getting the thing that tells you where to go to get the treasure, if that makes sense. So like when I get this, it should probably complete the side quest immediately. Yeah, exactly. Okay, so that's that one done. Didn't get anything particularly worthwhile from it, but never mind. That was an accident, never mind. Should have absolutely loads of alcohol now for meditating, so I can use potions pretty much whenever I want. Just to make the combat go a little bit quicker. Got 51 of those and a bunch of Dwarven Spirit as well, so... Never underestimate bombs against groups of humans, they're extremely useful. Like that. That's abandoned site, so that'll get a good chunk of stuff there as well. Get a good chunk of experience. You can actually leave all of the abandoned sites because it's better to do them later on. They're just in the interest of clearing things out. I'll see if there's anything that needs that's worth looting and stuff like that. So if you're doing it and you want to end up on a proper playthrough of the highest level possible, I'd actually recommend that you just leave all of the abandoned sites and monster nests until after you've finished Blood and Wine and you've got everything leveled up. Nothing particularly different or useful that I want to buy there. I find it better to just make do with what you've got, because you can normally manage things pretty easily anyway, early in the game, and then just use the ingredients that you find and everything else. Because buying things like water essence for the cat potion and things like that, it's not really necessary and it takes a lot of time. So some drowners over there, they don't seem to be guarding anything in particular though. So I'm just going to find the next undiscovered location. Just clearing these out, like I say, one of the main things about it is if you're planning on using acquired tolerance later, it's extremely useful to get all of the alchemy recipes because each one gives you an extra toxicity point with that skill. So use that. Try and burn the drowners, didn't get it on that time. But should be able to take these two out. Take those down, no problem. A lot of these ones you get at the minute are these sort of notes. And it's leading you to different side quests instead of just taking things out. So that's level 18. You can normally manage that actually. Just because all of the enemies are underwater and the crossbow does a ton of damage, so I might have a little play at it, but not really necessary. But I will try and get the other undiscovered locations, and all of these down the beach, these are drowners and these are humans. There's a lot of humans to fight around here, which is what I'll be doing shortly. But I can go and see how I get on, and if the crossbow's not taking these guys out, then I can always come back later. There is actually a spawn point around here where the drowners spawn infinitely, so you could actually try and you could actually try and farm infinite experience around here. There's a spot where you can do it, but I've never worked out the particulars of it myself, but it's something that I may do on my save file where I'm trying to get to level 100 before starting New Game Plus, because that's a really long grind. And it takes a very long time otherwise. So another Arendite relic there. And that's costly mistake completed, so that's useful. Another drowner under there. Doesn't really seem to be anything else to pick up at the moment though. There are some other things in the wreck, and there's a level sort of level 15 wraith around here as well. But it's definitely worth exploring around all of this kind of place because There are a lot of alchemy recipes again, like I was saying, to pick up. A lot of random chests and things like that. Like that one, which is White Rafford's Decoction, which is a really useful healing potion. A really good one to have there, so... I can make one of Maribor Forest or Killer Whale. So I'm going to hang on and see what I've got for those. I need Necker Hearts for that. I think what I normally do is I'll use Killer Whale, make Killer Whale first. I'll make Maribor Potion second after I get the get some more Drowner Tongues there. So I believe it's that little island there with the Viking ship that has the Noon Wraith. It's one of these two islands, so I need to find out which it is. Because you can go to one, but not the other, because you can't take out the Wraith just yet, because it'll be too high level. And there's a bunch of human enemies that I want to take out here as well, and explore the beach area. So I'm going to explore all of this stuff first, see if there's anything interesting to get. Say hi, by the way, if you're watching. Let me know what's up, how you doing, have you played Witcher before, all this kind of stuff. Just playing this. This is a Deathmarch No Armour playthrough. Just for something a bit different, a little more of a challenge than a normal playthrough is. Right now just on the hunt for some of the alchemy recipes and everything else. A lot of which you can find in the chest like that and like this. There's the Dimeritium bomb. And don't think there's going to be anything else in this wreck particularly. Get this chest over here and then I'll go and take out these enemies on the mainland. Might as well grab the buckthorn while I'm here. And there's the insectoid oil, which I'm just going to make now for the next time I come across any insectoids. Easy enough to make that. So I could make either of these, or maybe both. I think I'll make that one. And I can make that as well, so I might as well. So again, this is the kind of reason why I was coming over here to do this. Now, when I come to take on these human enemies, I do actually have the deflection skill, which I don't normally bother taking because the piercing damage from arrows isn't very high. But in this one, I will be able to just actually deflect the arrows when they send them at me, which will be useful. So I just keep my guard up as I do this, and I can move forwards towards them, deflecting the actual arrows. And then get some strikes in when I'm close. So you can actually hit arrows back at them if your timing is good enough, but that's pretty tricky to do whilst I've got the others coming in at me. So now one of the things that's extremely useful with these people when you're fighting big bunches of human enemies is to use your bombs. So I want to make sure that we're using those as well, including the 2 enhanced bombs that I just made. So like here, if you can get a poisoning bomb, if I can throw that far enough, I can deflect these arrows and then throw the bomb to deal a good amount of poisoning damage on them, and that'll do a good chunk of damage whilst I take on these guys. They can also hit themselves, as you saw there, which is always very fun. And you can see the deflection skills proving pretty useful there as well. Just let me keep my distance. So the poisoning does an absolute ton of damage to them. And then I can use Dragon's Dream as well. Okay, so take these guys out. Accidental deflect, well, not accidental, I kind of figured he was going to fire, but I didn't think I'd get the timing 100% right. So that's the difference that having the 2 or 3 skill points makes. You can actually deflect the shots back at them, and with the third skill point in the deflection skill, it'll do more damage when you knock it back, so that's quite cool. Always good fun. And again, the reason I'm enjoying this challenge playthrough at the minute of playing with No Armour is got to think outside the box a little bit. Skills that normally aren't worthwhile getting do have some merit, like the deflection skill there. I deliberately got that one this time, whereas usually I do ignore it. So, just going to swim out to some of these islands. Check that if there's any more chests for me to pick up or loot. I've looted these ones already. Now, I know for a fact that one of these islands has a higher level wraith on there, so I'll not be able to take that one on. I think it's that bigger island there. So this one has the wraith on. I don't want to be taking those on. But the other island, I'm just going to see if I can make a run for it and grab this one. Probably not, but might be worth a shot. Nope. Okay, so just going to dodge away. I'll come back for that later. Yeah, that wraith's a little bit high level at the minute, so I'll just come back to that in a bit. That fiend decoction is quite timely because you get a fiend mutagen when you're doing the Crookback Bog quest, which will be coming up reasonably soon. Is there anything in here to grab? Doesn't look like it. Nothing really here. So, but yeah, got the fiend decoction there. That's a decoction that lets you carry 20 more inventory weight, which can be very useful if you're playing the game normally. Although here, I won't be making as much use of it because I already have the Ophiri saddlebags because I went to get those straight away. Hopefully I've not got stuck here. And I can get out just this bit. There you go. So it's always important to sort of explore every nook and cranny. I'm quite completionist, so I like to do this even if I'm playing a playthrough that's a little bit different like this. I always try and find the alchemy recipes. And just trying to strike a balance in this one by having something a little bit more challenging in the No Armour without making the game really boring by limiting all of the skills, which I do find just makes it literally dodge and slash, which is very boring. So I don't want to take all of the fun out of the game. I still want to use the sort of witchering aspects of it. So now there should be a few more pirates and things to take out up here. Just going to recoat my blade with the enhanced Hangman's Venom. And then go to work. See if there's anything else interesting around here. Nothing to pick up on this side, and like I say, I think there'll be some more pirates over here. There's normally like 2 sets of them on this beach, so we'll have to go and fight them as well.
Let's dance.
Let's dance. Now, I'm still using the Viper Silver Sword here. Viper Steel Sword against these enemies, because they are Steel Sword enemies. And there's the little deflection skill just coming into play again. So if you can time it right, then you can deflect the arrow back at him, which is what happened there. And we've got the Dragon's Dream doing a good chunk of damage to them as well. Hit these two, and then like I say, if you can get poisoning inflicted or bleeding, because I have a Divana Runestone in there as well, then you can do that no problem as well. No armor, no problem. And I must have missed one of the treasures there because that hasn't auto-completed, so I'll go and try and find what it was that I've missed and complete that as well. Picking up a lot of stuff here, but it doesn't really matter for the inventory weight because I've already got a lot extra from, like I say, having the Ophiri saddlebags. And if I get overburdened, I'll just drop one thing and then run back and find out what's going on there. So, got a little way to go and get this treasure, so it's probably going to be a fair little swim. I must have missed something out here. But again, that's why it pays to be thorough with your exploring. And I'll be able to try and pick it up from the side quest. I'm going to try and swim out and ignore the drowners as much as possible. You can swim very quickly, so you can normally get away from them most of the time. Just because the underwater combat and the things like the peripheral things like underwater combat and stuff like that is one of the more boring aspects in my opinion, so not my favourite aspect of the game by any means. And that was pretty dangerous, so I might die here. Yeah, wow. Damn, that did a lot of damage. And this is the problem with the underwater combat, it's quite clunky, so not a massive fan of doing that. You have to really keep your distance, and even though I was pressing the right bumper there to shoot the crossbow, because I'd had a bomb equipped previously, the crossbow wasn't equipped, which is kind of dumb because you can't equip any secondary items or bombs underwater, so I was expecting it to just automatically equip my crossbow. And I forgot that actually it doesn't do that, so just something to bear in mind. You have to actually take your crossbow out underwater, even though it's the only thing you can use. So underwater combat, not my favourite aspect of it. Normally if you had armour, obviously, then it would reduce the damage a little bit. But strange that I managed to finish the level 18 underwater quest and kill the drowners, no problem there. And then I got hit once and it took 80% of my health. A little bit inconsistent sometimes, the underwater mechanics. It's probably not actually, it's just that I don't often get hit when I'm doing it, so interesting. So just wait for this to reload, but fortunately I'd put the autosave back on there. So I shouldn't have as much to redo here. Hopefully it's after I've cleared out those enemies on the beach. Yeah, so it's already autosave right here, not a lot else to do, so I'll just equip my crossbow. And I can try and kill these things from distance before they get anywhere close. And then finish off this side quest to get whatever it is. See, that one just hit me there and did like 20% damage instead, which makes no sense. Really weird. I must have missed something, I suppose, but not quite sure what. Anyway, get my breath back. I do have killer whale, so I can just use that here as well. And then go and get all this stuff. There must be another gap that you can get into, because I know you can definitely get into this ship to get all this stuff. Because I've done it before. Maybe it is that gap. Let's have a try. That seems a very small gap, and I seem to remember it being a lot easier to get in there. Let's try around this side. Another runestone there. And a pointlessly terrible treasure for all that faffing about with the drowners, but never mind. Right. So we're going to carry on now, try and grab all the other stuff from around here. See if there's anything else interesting. one's too far away. Not sure if I've been to this particular shipwreck yet, so I'll just check this out. Although it may be one I've been to already. I think it is, because it's the one just past the Wraith. So yeah. There's still something in that one though, which is weird. Ah, but actually it's already been emptied, so yeah. That was the same one. It glows. Sometimes does that where it glows yellow as if there's still things to pick up, but there actually aren't. So and now I've got stuck. Come on, Geralt. Yeah, so these underwater bits not the cleanest bit sometimes. Bit frustrating. I think I've got stuck again there. Ugh. Anyway, managed to extricate myself there somehow. And I might have actually missed this chest before, which I did, and that has the Ekimara decoction in. I would have been upset if I missed that one. That's one of the best decoctions. That is actually a decoction that I use in my endgame one as well, and I somehow managed to miss this chest too, so good job I came back out here really. Ah no, it's the same thing, it was just glowing without anything being there, so it does that sometimes. These are just buckthorn, so nothing major there. But kind of worth coming back out for. We completed that quest at least. I'll just get the rest of the things further inland. So get these coastal ones and then make my way back up and grab these ones inside as well. These ones tend to be a little bit higher level. And there's one that has like a level 28 hag or something like that, so we'll definitely be skipping that one for now. But around here should just be bog standard drowners, so they should be alright. I've still got 60 inventory weight spare. Got hit simultaneously there, which is why I took so much damage. And get a load of fire damage on these. Use that last swallow just to get re-healed. That was meant to be Quen instead, but never mind. Fire is really good against drowners, so just make sure you're making good use of that as well. And then we'll just get Thunderbolt to do a bit of extra damage and finish them off quickly. And then we'll meditate to restock potions after that. And we went from not having the insectoid oil at all to having the recipe for the enhanced one now. So I can go and make that. Very useful. So like I say, there's a bunch of good stuff and a dead whale, but there's a bunch of really useful stuff on this coastline. So always worth it. And there's a lot of alchemy recipes as well. Haven't found the one I really want yet, which is the enhanced necrophage oil, but I can always buy that in Novigrad if needed. Should still be a few pirates left. There are normally a few further inland. But they must have come down to the shore when I was fighting them. And then there's a few like cannibal camps and stuff, so I'll be taking those out shortly as well. Climb up absolutely nothing there, why not? There's a fast travel marker 2. Right, so let's find out where the next ones of these undiscovered locations are and where we're going from here. I've got all these ones to take out yet, so I think I'll just try and get these ones in sort of a circle and then come back. This is a particularly big camp, so if I can meditate first I will do. This one is one that can be quite difficult. So you need to be making good use of bombs here and putting the oil back on my sword as well.
Come on, come closer.
Just keep my guard up wherever possible. And they did a lot of damage with their arrows. Racking up a few deaths now whilst I get used to this. At least it's making it a bit more of a challenge. So the key thing to be doing there is just to be keeping my guard up so that the arrows don't rip all of my health like that, which I can do because I do have the deflection skill. So instead of trying to deflect them back with a timed hit like I was doing there, probably better off just keeping my guard up, deflecting the arrows and then throwing bombs at them to stop them from being able to take me out. So I'll do that when it reloads. Interesting tactics to use against archers. There's a fair few. You can use your own crossbow, but that's not normally very effective. But you can use broadhead bolts, which will inflict bleeding and take a lot of their health from distance. You can blind them with the salmon bomb, or you can freeze them with northern wind. Bombs in general are really good against them. One of the easiest ways is just to close the distance, and then they will take out their sword when they're close range and take them out like that. So that's one of the ones that I'm going to be looking at doing there as well. So I should have just kept my guard up there and just kept my patience a little bit, but instead I wanted to try and deflect the arrows back, and when I got hit by two at once, you can see that's why I took so much damage. So okay, so let's go to this then. Instead of the Dragon's Dream, even though I've got the enhanced Dragon's Dream, I'll just use the normal Dancing Star because it's a little bit easier to inflict the burning on them from distance. Okay, so take all these guys out. So there, if you're closing the gap on the archers, it'll actually be a little easier. So and I can get them all with poisoning all at once and do a ton of damage there. So even so, I got caught with a little bit of damage there again from the archers. So just want to be guarding and make my way over to them and at least take them out like that. And then if you can close the distance, you can actually get them to hit themselves as well when their enemies are in between, which is useful. But those are doing a ton of damage. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to try and get the burning going with that, and then dodge closer and took some of them out there with the explosive barrel. So these being level 7, they're a little higher level than I am as well. So I just need to be a little bit careful with that. And then while I'm reloading, you can close the difference and get him as well. So finished him off there. Deflect that one back at him. And then finish these guys off. So I think these are the last two. These should be alright. The leaders normally take a lot longer to fight, so use my dancing star there. And I'll meditate after this is done as well, so try and get some poisoning on him. So I can leave him there and stun him so that he keeps getting poisoned. Knock him back into that as well. And just keep him in that poisoning cloud, so that'll do a ton of damage. And then he gets one hit on me and does a ton of damage as well, but never mind. Okay. So, took those out. Again, if you're playing normally, you can just leave the abandoned sites until after you've done everything else. It's not necessary to take them out early on. But just for the purposes of clearing out these question marks down this side, I'll do these now. So I'll get a lot of loot that I can pick up from these guys because there are a lot of enemies there. That'll be useful. Probably get overburdened at some point here. But I've got a lot of stuff to be selling as well, so that's good. Maces tend to be really heavy, so if I get overburdened, I'll just drop one of those, I think. And there is a guy that you can sell stuff here too as well, so I could always just sell some stuff, even if it's not the best prices, and then just go from there. Oh, didn't mean to do that. I meant to get the, yeah, those. Calm down. Just trying to knock those down. Forgot they don't like that. Oh well, never mind. Okay. So you can see what this guy's got. If he's got anything interesting, get those. And then carry on. He doesn't have anything in particular though. Now there's normally a little something else around here as well, like another guy that you can sell things to, so I'll just look for him shortly. But he doesn't seem to be turning up. I swear there's normally a guy that you can sell things to, like a normal merchant, but lots of honeycombs anyway, but right, okay, so I just want to find the rest of the undiscovered locations, and then I'll head back to Novigrad just to be selling a few things there. So these are level 9, so these guys are quite high level as well. Just going to keep guarding until I've established where their archer is. So they've got an archer over there. Keep my guard up until I can get close enough to them. And at least make them take their swords out. Take out this absolute crazy person who has no pants on. So once that guy's shot his arrow, take him out before he can start firing again. And then get a bit of Igni going as well. So the bonus of having the Divana runestone in my sword as well is that as well as poisoning, I can inflict bleeding on them. And that can be really useful. So if one of them's a little bit lower on health, it's a good idea to try and take them out first. Especially with these guys being a little higher level, the less of them that I can fight, the better. That guy just jumped in the air for no reason whatsoever. Then when you get the last one, just try and cast Axie on him and execute him, because Axie gives a higher chance of getting the execution, and you can let your stamina recover even if you don't get the execution whilst they're stunned. So that's useful as well. So even though these swords won't be usable in terms of actually replacing my steel weapon, because of the bonuses that the Viper Sword have, they will be extremely useful in terms of being able to sell them. So that's why I just keep picking everything up there. So another bandit camp. Try and get these guys burning. I'll be meditating soon anyway, so let's get them burnt and poisoned. Take off a good chunk of damage before I even start damaging them. Deflect that back at him, and then again put poisoning on him. Got a good hit there, and it's really useful to use everything that's available to you. And they went down a lot easier there, and all that's really cost me in effect is 1 alcohol. Because you can just get everything back just by meditating afterwards. So another thing about a bit of a challenge playthrough like this is it makes you, you know, think of a few alternative tactics and stuff like that, which is pretty cool. Making good use of bombs and everything else. So I'll find the next one, and again, just clearing out this little area. This one, I think it's this one. There's a house where, when you come back to it, there are Arakase. And just a quick side thing: why do some of the trees have money in? Nobody knows this. Why are there crowns stashed in the trees? Anyway, there's a house here with a hanging body. It's been lynched, and once you clear this, out, you can come back to this marker here. It's this marker here. You can come back to this, and there will be Arakas outside of it. So there's some Endragas and an Arakas, and when you come back here, you can defeat the Arakas, and it will sometimes give a lesser red mutagen, and then you can fast travel away and come back and keep fighting it and keep getting lesser red mutagens if you are a little bit fortunate there. So that's always a good thing to do as well. So again, same thing, just going to try and poison the guys here, because it's a good idea to have these guys poisoned or burnt. And try and knock him back into the poison cloud. Dodge and then get a strike on. So he's been taken out there. And again, you can see the poison and the fire really rack up. So a good part of Deathmarch is making sure that you're using everything that's available to you. And bleeding and poisoning play a big role in that. So okay, so another thing cleared out. I have just 3 more, and then I'll make my way back to Novigrad. And this is why it's a good idea to try and find the oils and make those as well. Because now I have a superior, well, enhanced insectoid oil, so I can use those. And then take out these Endragas. Okay, so if I can get a few of these grouped up, I'll try and poison them with the Dragon's Dream. Get a few of them all together. They didn't work because they all ran away, so they have like set areas that they can be in. And if you can get them all together, like I can here, I can burn a load of them at once. Deal good damage that way. Now pretty soon a warrior's going to turn up as well, so I'll have to be careful of that. Just need to start playing a bit more defensively and keep Quinn up. So I need to keep some health for that. Again, all this stuff's a little bit higher level than me, so you could, if you're doing it on a normal playthrough, very easily leave it a bit later. So I'm sure there is an actual warrior around here somewhere as well. But it doesn't seem to have turned up just yet, so maybe I'm imagining it. Oh no, I can see it on the map. So I'll take this thing out now. Still got some oil charges left as well. But I will have to be careful of this thing because as you can see it takes a lot less damage, so... Try and avoid its tail attacks and get it burnt if I possibly can. Okay, so I managed to take that out as well. Always good fun. Check I've looted everything here. Got the enhanced cursed oil as well, so I can make that. Should be handy for the next time I'm fighting a werewolf or something else. Check if I've got everything for that as well. I don't actually, so I need an Ekimara hide for that. And an Arinia eye for the hybrid oil, so it'll be a little while before I get those. But they're not very common types of enemy, so it's not really a problem. This is probably another big camp of people. A massive camp of people, in fact, so that's going to be a slight problem. Just keep my guard up whilst I try and knock them back into the poison. Wow, that did a massive amount of damage as well. Got to keep dodging whilst I keep my guard up there. Deflect the arrows so I can get round the back and hit the archers instead. And you can see the poison still taking them out there, which is useful. Now if I can knock this guy back, he should get poisoned as well. And And the other guys are having to still run through the poison there. Right, so that's the archer gone. Dodge away from the that dude. And then just 2 left to take out, one of being the leader. And I can throw up a couple of potions to make that easier, and then just meditate afterwards. Again, the good chance of poisoning is really useful with the Viper Steel Swords, which is why I don't really swap those until I get the Griffin Swords. Because that poisoning chance makes such a big difference on Deathmarch and is really useful. So I'll definitely get overburdened here. But so that'll be just in time to go back and sell some stuff as well. I have one last place to take out, but I'll just ride Roach there and then go after that. So save that guy. If you're overburdened and you need to move quickly, you can punch and then just dodge a lot. As long as there aren't any guards around to aggravate, that's fine. Saves you a bit of time moving about. I don't want to make 2 trips and fast travel and then come back for this stuff, so worth just moving around this way just a little bit. And dodge and grab all this stuff again. See if there's anything interesting there. So after I've grabbed all this stuff, I'm going to go and sell a bunch of stuff in Novigrad. Make sure that I'm no longer burdened. I don't have a Fiend Mutagen yet, so I can't make that decoction to temporarily get that extra 20 weight like I would do normally. Because I haven't had the opportunity to fight a Fiend yet. The first one you normally fight is the level 9 one in the Crookback Bog quest when you go there. So we've got pretty much everything there. Quite heavily overburdened, so there's not really much point in us dropping stuff, because I'd have to drop quite a bit of valuable stuff, so no point doing that. And I've only one last thing that I want to do before I head back to Novigrad, one last question mark, so I'll just do that first and then head back. Even if you're overburdened, you can always move in combat, which doesn't make any sense from a realistic point of view. But it does kind of make sense from a gameplay point of view, so... Right, so if I can ride around these guys, I might just try and take them out on horseback, so that I don't have to dodge about as much. Especially that guy, because he's the archer, so even though it's a bit clumsy, the ranged combat can be quite useful for that. Try and get the archer wherever he is. I'll just jump off and kill him actually. The horse combat does get a bit irritating over time, so. And he very helpfully shot his own guy, which is, you know, good of him.
Come on, come closer.
And again, the damage he's taken there from the damage over time, very useful. And clear out this last question mark, and then head back to Novigrad. And get the enhanced dancing staff Metribbles, which is, you know, always good as well. Because I'm making a lot of use of the bombs in this playthrough, so. Particularly against groups of enemies, the bombs can be really useful. Okay, so now I'm just going to grab Roach and go back to the nearest point marker. So, just need to fast travel. Got a ton of stuff there. Cleared out all of these areas down here. I'll come back for these slightly higher level ones a little later. And I'll just ride to the coast first, and then travel back to Novigrad. Say hi in the chat, let me know how you're doing, how things are going. Just doing a No Armour Deathmatch playthrough, or the commentary, and then uploading it to my YouTube, Phoenix237, after that. Been an interesting episode so far, actually. As it gets a little more... normally you can compensate with defensive skills and things like that, but in this particular playthrough with us having no armour, the difficulty is maintained and remains a little more constant, which is useful. So I'm just going to travel back to Novigrad to sell some of my stuff, and then I can continue with the quests. Okay, so I'm just going to have to leave it there, I think. Say thank you very much, everybody, for watching. And I will start off the next episode by selling some of my junk, getting some more money, and then carrying on with the quests. So, again, thank you very much. If you are watching it back on YouTube, please like, comment, subscribe. And if you're watching on Twitch, please leave me a follow so you can pick up the rest of the walkthrough and playthrough as we're doing it. Thank you very much for watching, and have a good day on the path.